No problem.
George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the 2023 keynote speaker for the annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dinner and Celebration on January 22nd, 2022. I just said that. Pastor Phil Turner is the pastor of the Bethany Baptist Church in Syracuse, New York, and is from Syracuse, New York, at least for the purposes of this conversation, and will be the keynote speaker for this beloved event that brings together town and gown, community, and the university. Really one of the largest, if not the largest, on-campus celebration in the nation that pays tribute to the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. 38 years of celebration for Syracuse University. And first of all, I'm honored that my pastor has been selected to talk about the theme of civil rights and the city of Syracuse. And so, Pastor Turner, when you got that call, what went through your mind? What was the feeling that you received when you got that call?
Well, when I first got the call, I think it was a moment of numbness. It was a bit surreal. I have thought of that kind of platform in a distant kind of way, and I had attended almost all of the King celebrations at Syracuse University. Had not seen myself. When you look at the record of those who have graced that podium, I did not see myself in that light, and that they had never drawn from the local community. And so I was at first at a point of awe, but once I began to think about it, I thought, well, this is really a vision that I believe that is of a higher nature, that that God had put this whole thing together, because Dr. King is my probably only contemporary hero. and has had such an impact on America and in the world, in terms of how we protest, in terms of how we fight a battle that is honorable and that has no way of being refuted or called unjust or unfair, but he has established in the world and in the society a fair way of making your voice heard without it being criminal, without it being deplorable. But he has set in motion a peaceful means of protest that the entire world has been affected by, and that everyone now uses. And so, I felt first of all, I felt very, very honored. And I'm still feeling very, very honored to be given the platform. And social justice, it has been a passion of mine as far back as I can remember. So it is, in a sense, to me, a bone being thrown to me. And I'm grateful for it, very grateful.
I mean, I'll say it. You got a little gangster in you when it comes.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know what I mean, basically, you are very passionate about civil rights and the legacy of our people, and bringing people together, and really helping us to understand our place in history and what that means. I mean, this is something that you've always been passionate about. And so it's no surprise that you get the opportunity to do this.
Yeah, well, we have to, when we look back over history and we see people who were game changers, people who created positive social change, their lives were always in danger. Anyone who stands against the norm is someone who is immediately placed as they're given a sinister persona, that this is a person that's a trouble to society, that's trouble to society. This person is stirring things up. This person is offending others. And so that has been the legacy of every person who has made significant change in the world, including our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Every other martyr that followed them was a person who placed themselves as an agitator to people who wanted things to remain the same, or people who had no concern for the justice of others. And so you must be courageous enough to speak truth to power. And so, yeah, when you say gangster, in a sense, you must be, in a sense, unafraid to oppose the norms, and unafraid to place truth on the table in front of people who don't want to hear it and don't want to deal with it.
Do you feel any sort of pressure, or what pressure do you feel to hit it out of the park? Are you going to sing? That's a question, right?
Well, I mean, it is a part of my ministry. I find myself in many situations putting every gift on the table in putting forth a message that is healing, a message that is transformative. And sometimes I find myself having the opportunity to further the impact of the message using gifts that God has given me. And so, yeah, it's possible I might sing. I don't want to, I'm just wanting everyone to know that that's a possibility that's on the table. So you don't want to hear about it from afar. You want to be there to experience whatever the Spirit might do. I'll follow.
That's very powerful. And I think, Pastor, that for this particular event, certainly being that it's the largest on campus, of 2,000 people speak at the JMA Dome. By the way, mlk.syr.edu for more information on tickets. And you might look, by the time you see this, it might be sold out. So I'm really encouraging folk to get their tickets, get their tables ready, and really be a part of this celebration, Pastor Turner. And so what are you likely to say? And I know this is, just putting you on the spot a little bit, but what are you likely to say about on this day?
Well, I think that question is relative to the one that preceded it, and that is that, what am I possibly intimidated by, or what are my concerns? And I think that whenever you're in a platform like this, valid information is so critical. To be able to put forth truth and substantiate it with something historical, to be able to use fact and truth and let that be your platform. That would be the most challenging part, and that is to put the data together and the information to substantiate the message. And so I want that to be a message that is, number one, relevant, that is impactful, and that if I am, as people often are in today's society, if I am fact-checked, I want my facts to stand up.
Yeah.
And I think that the best platform when you are speaking on social issues, you have to have a platform of truth. And truth is something that can stand on its own. It can stand under scrutiny. It can stand under pressure. And so we just want to make sure that the things that we're presenting are truth. And we want to make sure that we are being meaningful and being relevant.
Go ahead.
I've seen a number of these messages, and I have to tell you that not every one of them, I feel, has hit the mark.
Okay. Pressure. Okay.
What we must not be afraid of is we must not be afraid to offend. There is a way to offend, and to offend diplomatically, and I think that's what made Dr. King so different than many others. There were others who were his peers, that were his contemporaries. He and Malcolm X were contemporaries, along with the Black Panther movement, with Bobby Seale and Stokely Carmichael, and all of those people were around at the same time. And Dr. King, I feel, was as impactful as they were, and even as revolutionary as they were, yet he was far more diplomatic because of his peaceful approach. And so you must be able to agitate and offend at the same time that you are peaceful, and that you are not intentionally trying to antagonize.
What do you want people to walk away with?
I want people to walk away with an understanding that, and it's really relevant to one of Dr. King's statements, and that is that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We have to understand that the plight of our social order is the responsibility of every person. We need to understand that we are one race. I think that that's the difference between now and what we were dealing with the civil rights movement of old, is that we had not understood yet, and science had not revealed that we are all one race. And so we have to stop fighting with each other and accept the fact that we have the same ancestors. I think that changes the dynamic. And I think that that's a truth that needs to be revealed. I'm from the school of thought that says that you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. I believe that that's what will set all of us free, is that we're standing on false premises and false foundations that has been divisive. We don't even know that we're the same people. And I think that once we become aware of that and know that intelligence is not something that is harbored by one ethnic group or another, that people of pride, and I want to say that correctly, but people who have a sense of integrity and people who have character, that is not harnessed by one ethnic group, but that is a human desire, and it's across the board. We need to know that we all want the same thing, which is that great American creed: freedom and justice for all. Okay, that is the creed on which this country was established. But we all want that. We want to be a nation. We want to be indivisible with liberty and justice for all. That's still credible. That's still something to desire. And then, more than anything else, Dr. King's dream was a good one. That one day we will be judged by the content of our character and not the color of our skin. That one day we should be able to live in a world where our children are able to walk hand in hand in harmony, and feel that they are all on the same plane as it relates to their character and their humanness. That's still a wonderful dream. And so we ought to be aspiring for that.
And that's the hope that you have, but how far away are we from that? Because while we are aspiring towards that, we're seeing the rise of something totally opposite of that, with the Trumpism and all of that, which is counteracting the very dream that Dr. King stood for. And where you have people who are willing, who first of all make up a lie, then get people to support the lie, then get people
double down on the lie.
Right, and double down on the lie, and then act as if it was never a lie.
Right.
So,
right.
And I think about, we heard that, the committee met and they referred some charges, and we'll see what happens with that. For the former president, but where are we going from here?
Well, I think it's a good question, George, because I think that when we think about the situation that you just spoke on, and that we hear a lie, and then not only do we hear a lie, but we see the lie fortified, we see the lie doubled down on, and we see the lie being refused that it was ever a lie. What gives that substantiation is that there's people
who
want to believe the lie.
Right.
And so that kind of behavior would not even it wouldn't even take ground if there were not people who wanted the lie to be real. And in spite of all odds, even the truth being placed before it, they still would rather defer to the lie. And so that's why it's so hard to put a time limit on where we are. What we have to be willing to do is, for those who are able to accept the change and those who are able to stand on new ground, establish a new foundation, we have to go with who's willing to take the trip. And if we think about that, we're closer today than we were at the time that Dr. King was assassinated. We're closer. We're not there yet. Okay, but what we work at is being there to feed those who receive the new food, the food of a new generation, the food of the new world, the food on which we can establish a new premise on how to live in this world, because our aspirational precepts are still good. You know, that we could live in a country where all men are created equal and are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's good creed. That's still good aspirational creed. And so for those who will come along with that, because we have, you know, Dr. King talked so much about there being two Americas. Okay, and I think that we will always have some separation, and we will always have those who would prefer to linger in our divisive past. But, you know, you can find yourself on the wrong side of history, and then some will be left behind. That's just the truth. That's the reality of it all. Some will be left behind. But I believe that in the end, truth will win. All right. I just believe
the truth shall set you free. Come on now, Pat. Listen.
Yeah. Yes,
all right.
Sir.
Speaking of the dream, I'm going to end here.
Okay.
I just saw something this week where, if you look at the 4 largest cities in the country, all headed by Black mayors. Eric Adams. Well, I'm going to name the cities because I'm going to miss somebody's name, but I'm going to say New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Houston. The 4 largest cities in America, they all have Black mayors. The Karen Bass just being sworn in for the mayor of Los Angeles, Lori Lightfoot in Chicago. And I think it's Sylvester Turner. I think that's his name.
That's the one in Houston.
Yeah, in Houston. Right. I got him now. Eric Adams.
That's my namesake.
That's your boy. Your
right.
cousin Sylvester is the mayor.
Yeah.
So in some ways, you know, what will be that could be reflected as a dream, because that is the first time that's ever happened. We got to run. Pastor Phil M. Turner, senior pastor of Bethany Baptist Church in Syracuse, 149 Beatty Street in Syracuse. Sunday morning service at 11. Bible study Wednesday night at 7. If you want to do that, it's on Zoom, and Sunday school at 9 o'clock. I know Pastor's like, oh, you know all of that? Okay, so.
Yeah, George, I'm proud of you, man.
Listen, and by the way, Pastor Turner, Phil Turner, is the keynote speaker for the Syracuse University Martin Luther King Jr. celebration, January 22nd. Yes. January 22nd, 6, doors open at 5. The program with Pastor Turner will be speaking will be from 7 to 8:30. Tickets available at mlk.syr.edu. Okay. With that being said, Pastor Phil Turner, thank you so much.
That is exactly why it's George Kilpatrick's inspiration for the nation, because you're a professional, brother.
Let's go. Inspiration for the nation.